we're gonna just pretend that everything works just fine. Everything's fine. It's all fine.
Is that you have to tell your therapist?
This is fine.
Yeah. All the audio sources are working, and hopefully the stream actually heard the theme song. Hi, everybody. I'm Mac Paladin, and this is Moonhawk Studios Presents Inside the Studio Edition. No guests this week. We just decided, well, I rather unilaterally decided that we weren't going to have a guest this week because I didn't want to go look for one. But also, I wanted a small break early in the season so that way we could collect ourselves and figure out exactly what it is that we're hoping to do with the show going forward. Now, of course, we are back to having a guest next week, and we will cover that later in the broadcast. And everybody make sure you're watching the show so we can at least pretend we have viewers. Because it says viewers NA right now.
In there.
Oh, God. But let's get to the crew introductions. Of course, I am Mac Paladin, and let's get to the crew introductions, of course. And with me in the studio, as always, is my good friend Adam.
Did you just cut out there for a second?
No, I just had
I was trying to
mute the
collect his
channel.
thoughts.
I had to mute the tab. It was starting to play. It was starting to play back all my stuff.
Oops.
Nah, that ain't good.
Yep. Of course, we got Kevin here.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Petty fans in the
How
house.
am I doing?
Oh God, where am I?
The Golics.
That's me.
And playing Overwatch while we attempt to do a podcast, as always, is Varias.
Hello, everyone.
Oh my lord! It is another day.
Yeah, I am. I have some good news and some sideways news.
All right, why don't you go ahead and go first this week?
All right, so I finally got my my meds back in that I was out of. The other fun thing is because of the way that my body reacted to Wellbutrin, we are changing my med off of that to Adderall, which I will be starting probably in a week or so. But I have to go do a drug test first, so yay.
We don't want you to have other adverse whatchamahoosums.
Drug test. Sorry, anytime somebody references drug test, I always do the Jim Rome drug test thing. Not that anybody remembers that shit. I mean, who gives a damn about Jim Rome, right? Well, at least Kevin knows. At least Kevin got the joke.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a sports media watcher, so I know who Jim Rome is.
Yep.
He's not a regular on the rotation, but
He's
since he left ESPN, but
yeah, but he's still kind of a big deal in Southern California.
Yeah,
I guess. Enough that every once in a while Frank Caliendo still does his impression of him.
anyhow.
Right. All right. Did you have any more, Kira, or were you?
No, that's it. That was pretty much it. Those were the big things. So.
All right, Adam, let's cook this egg.
Like, did you not eat dinner?
Who, me?
Your non sequiturs are kind of interesting.
That wasn't a non sequitur. That was a payoff. No.
No, in order for it to be a payoff, it has to be actually funny.
Like, you're just mad.
You
mad,
you're
just
bro?
Mad. I made the joke before you did.
It's like, you mad, bro? Oh my lord! Hey, my iPad just came back to life.
Ah.
So wait, wasn't it out of power?
Yeah, I plugged it into a different place, and now it works.
That could indicate that wall socket is wonky.
It's plugged into a USB port on one of my computers.
Yeah, it probably might be that.
Rumor has it it's your turn to offer news. even though we got off on these tangents.
I mean, it's an inside the studio, so what do you expect?
I
Cosigns.
expect you to die, Mr. Bond.
Like, anyway, in terms of
That was a good setup.
You mean like the air in here?
in terms of news, let's see. Mother's birthday is this weekend, so dealing with that
All
over the
right.
course of 2 days. I just have to see my younger brother and his brood.
Oh boy.
And they're draining kids. Like, so that's about it for me. Like,
All right. Kevin.
I don't have much other than the fact that I'm doing the same thing I do every weekend, and that's reading at the local theater. I don't have anything more than that.
It's the same thing we do every weekend.
Although,
Try and
yes,
take over the
although-
world.
although I was a little sick over the course of the last weekend, I had no voice a couple days ago, so thank God I'm able to have my voice tonight. But other than that, that's it for me.
All right. Petty fan.
Setting up new phones is a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, but yes, new iPhone.
No, Galaxy S22 Ultras.
Yeah, he wouldn't be saying setting up new phones is a pain in the ass if you had an iPhone.
I don't know.
I mean,
The problem is more dealing with my parents who apparently have selective illiteracy when it comes to technology.
Oh, goody.
Yeah. The screen clearly tells her what she needs to do, but nope.
I mean, because the nice Apple rep would just tell you exactly what you need and what you're going to do with it and nothing else. And that's just the way it is. And your phone will be set up perfectly, and you won't ever do anything with it except what they tell you to.
Until something happens to go wrong, and then you bring it in and they say, well, you're best off throwing this one away and just getting a new one.
Where you take it to the Genius Bar, they slap it with a ball-peen hammer, throw it over their shoulder, and hand you another one. Isn't that the Apple MO? And you're just in this endless...
Yeah, when you said your thing wasn't working, I halfway wanted to make the joke of like, well, first check in the charging port for lint.
I've given up lint for Lent.
But yeah, other than that, not a whole lot's been really going on.
All right. Golix?
Not much here. Got a dentist appointment tomorrow that I gotta get up kind of early for, so that'll be fun.
That's exciting.
They just gonna take care of some cavities that have been there for a while, so hopefully it won't be too expensive or take too long. But we'll see. Otherwise, been kind of a slow week. My birthday's coming up. Oh, I got my taxes mailed off, so that's good. But yeah, my birthday's coming up in, a little over a week, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh, your birthday is coming up.
No, it's a week exactly today, actually. I forgot my birthday's on friggin' Fragments Day this week.
Oh, your birthday's coming up. Ah, well, I already know the perfect gift. You could give yourself original artwork from one of the official Rusted Iron Games artists who happens to be right here.
Hey, so yeah. Side story to that.
No less than 3 times in my life been all ready to commission art for something, and then suddenly had no money.
I do art for Rusted Iron, who is a Pathfinder supplemental creator. So
that's neat.
Yes, that's why I brought it up.
I do have some original characters from stories that I haven't written, and also some RP characters from actual role-playing games that I would like to get art of more, or different art of in some cases, but I swear every time I try to go and get a commission for that, something comes up that's very expensive.
Well, we'll put a pin in that and stick it in the background for the time being. But but the official word is out. Varius does do work for one
This
of the
is
officials.
a new gig, or
It's been going on for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, I've been doing work for Rusted Iron for 6 years.
do you have a sample/portfolio at a location that people might browse?
Yeah, I have a full on, but there's a bunch of stuff in there. I'll send you the link in just a minute, and I'll post it in the chat too. So give me a second.
So I have to go over I have not logged into this in a hot minute, so bear with.
I figured since we don't have any guests this week, I'd be pimping something.
I mean, we got the open time. Might as well chill.
And we haven't even
Okay,
gotten to my news
chill.
yet. I'm over here clipping my nails on stream.
So this is a broad collection of things, but if you scroll down to, I want to say, the bottom, I'm double checking because it's been a while since I looked at what all's in here. Yeah, if you go down to the bottom, there's a few. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, about halfway down the collection is a bunch of rusted iron stuff. So I'm going to copy and paste this to you guys, and I'm going to also put it in the stream chat.
All right.
So-
This came up because Kira was recently doing something for Rusted Iron, and so I was like,
Yeah,
right, Pathfinder. That's that thing that
Yeah.
Gallix does.
So I threw that into the private business channel, and there it is. And I just advanced to level 7. Thank you, Battissimo. But yeah, so there's
means
quite
you'll
a
get
lot
even
of
more
stuff in there.
That means you'll get even more coupons for candy you won't eat. Oh my god. Some of the stuff that Batismo gives away as coupons are ridiculous. Alright, so since we got that out of the way, now I may as well cover whatever the hell it is I'm thinking about. Progress on the studio. So Varius will tell you humorously that I spent a large portion of last night. On Monday, I did the unboxing for my really Tippy for my HD capture box from ClearClick, and it has a little remote control, and you can plug in a USB. Hold on a second. And I put up I actually put my own microphone up so you didn't have to hear me scream directly into it, even though you heard it through Kira's microphone. But and
Came in pretty well too.
yeah, but it wasn't as ear splitting as it would have been if it was at point blank range to my mouth. Anyway, I spent a sizable portion of last night setting up my ClearClick HD box. And this thing has component, it has composite, it has HDMI input, it has VGA. The whole purpose of it was to set up my Dell Dimension 4100 Pentium 3 so I could play Wing Commander 4 DVD on stream at last without going and buying the GOG version of it, because the whole shtick of my channel is trying to play on original hardware wherever possible. That obviously I use a lot of emulators, and it's more convenient, and sometimes the graphics look better. But in that particular regard, I make an effort not to use any kinds of cheats or save states or codes or anything. I play everything as if it were on original hardware. So I set this machine up with Millennium Edition, and because Millennium Edition it's easier to set up drivers on Millennium Edition than it is under 98 Second Edition.
ME isn't super terrible unless you're trying to use the internet.
Yeah, in which
Are you high?
why would you use the internet on a machine that old? First of all,
Okay, okay, this is from experience. I had a computer with Windows ME for a while that was not connected to the internet, and I never had. I mean, I didn't try to like do hardcore gaming on it, but I never had any like huge issues.
the only big problem that Millennium Edition had was that it had the memory leak. And that was, if you leave your computer on all the time, eventually it would Stack Overflow, because once applications stop using random access memory, they don't give it back. And so the only thing you'd do to fix it would be to reboot your computer periodically. They never fixed it, but it's just easier because some things that I have, particularly this USB Wingman Extreme gamepad that I have, it just works better with ME.
Mm-hmm.
So, not a big deal or anything like that. That, and if I wanted to play, like, I don't know, Quake 2, again, I don't want to have to re-download it from GOG. I have a copy of it plus expansion packs up the goddamn wazoo, including my favorite one, which is on a 3.5-inch floppy disk called Weapons of Destruction that allows me to use napalm grenades. I love
Fun.
it. I love it because you throw it out there and it just keeps exploding for like 15 seconds. So not only does it explode at everything, but anything that comes at you that has been alerted to your presence by the initial explosion gets destroyed by the incendiaries. But yeah, it has a bunch of extra grenades that don't work real well in deathmatch, but that's beside the point. I wanted to have a legit retro gaming machine. I found a Voodoo 3 2000 AGP. Works perfectly, by the way. And I pulled a bunch of junk out of this machine because it was configured as a Red Hat Linux file server or something for a business. And so I took out the hard drive and put in my low hours 160 gig Ultra DMA 133 Seagate drive, and it it zips along lickety split. Got the Cinemaster 3.0 decoder card, which I didn't realize was not the same one I was used to. There was actually a 1.2 model that came with Dells of this particular vintage. Did somebody drop off the call?
Not that I'm aware of.
Evan,
No, we're all here.
he's back.
Okay. I saw your orb disappear for a second there. But yeah, I got this Cinemaster decoder card for $17, and I thought, oh yeah, I'm set. Now I'm going to be able to play Wing Commander 4. Well, two problems. This thing plugs into the overlay feature connector on the video card, and it locks it into 640 by 480 mode. And the goddamn game doesn't detect it. So when you play the game, all of the actual programmed graphics pop up, the cutscene choices and everything pop up, but it says unable to find VOB, which is what they used to use for DVD videos. And then it skips to the flight sequences. Wing Commander 4 is unusual because
And really, what are you playing the game for? Where you don't care about where you want to just do the actual part where you play and like skip the FMV sequences.
I mean, come on, it's one of Mark Hamill's finest hours, right? And it's one of the last roles of the late great Jason Bernard. So I mean, who wouldn't want to see it, right? But the whole point was I was trying to get this set up so that way I could play it, and so that the viewers could understand the legit experience of playing this game on original hardware. And it doesn't work. So I was reading an article about a Hollywood Magic card, and I remembered that the Sigma what was it, Sigma Designs, I think it was, or whatever, Hollywood Magic card. Was actually the card that Creative Labs bought, because they had the DXR2 and then they had a DXR3 decoder card. The DXR2 they actually had custom hardware built. The DXR3 they literally bought it from Silicon Graphics and just stuck their sticker on it and called it the DXR3 decoder card. I think they changed the BIOS chip on it. That's about it. So I found one new in box for $20. With all the cables and the driver disc. So I don't have to do any miscellaneous downloads or anything like that. If I'd ordered the Cinemaster 1.2 card, which is out there at substantially higher price, it probably would have worked. Because, for some inexplicable reason, this game requires a 16-bit DVD encoding scheme. Because they decided to make the DVD video clips proprietary. And there's like 3 games in the entire world that actually use this encoding scheme. This game, Zork Grand Inquisitor, and there's one other one that was mentioned in the article that I can't think of off the top of my head. And then they never did this again because it came out so late in the whole FMV gaming thing, if you will, that nobody cared. And nobody was willing to pay $300 for this decoder set in order to make it all work. And then by 1999, 3DFX and later NVIDIA and all that started building DVD decoding directly into their chipsets. 1999, 2000, you no longer needed a hardware decoder card. So, I guess that's the punchline. But if this card doesn't work, then I'm just going to go to the Wing Commander CIC and download the patch and run it off of my 3DFX Voodoo 3 2000. Hold on.
Because at some point you've
Here we
tried.
go again.
Go ahead. You were saying?
Oh, I said because at some point you've tried.
Yeah. It's just I've really just been trying to go for the original hardware experience as much as possible. I set this machine up because there's a number of emulators that I have and things that only work on the Win 9X platform. I have ConnectX Virtual Game Station for some of these, shall we say, dubiously acquired PlayStation games that I have. Quite a few things. If I wanted to play Macross Digital Mission VFX, that would be the way to do it. And it's just irritating because I've gotten so much to work on my main streaming box here. What's the point, right? Why go through the effort? Well, because I'm a goddamn technician, and that's what we do. I've been selling this crap for 25 years, plus 3. And I wanted to offer something unique for a change. But here we are. So I've got playing in the background here. I've got Waku Waku 7 playing on the emulator machine with the streaming through the ClearClick box to the all-in-one. So the funny part of that was the ClearClick box, in order to make all of this analog shit work, has a line-in port on it. And so I've fucked around with it for hours last night, and then I got the video, and I could see in OBS that it was detecting the audio coming from it. And for the life of me, I couldn't remember what switch to flip in this damn thing in order to make it actually so I could hear the audio. And then Kira was just like, "Oh, I know what to do."
Yeah, and I walked over and I said, "Which mouse goes to this machine?"
Yeah, because there's 12 computers over here now. There's there's 9, I think. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So I go over there.
6, 7.
And so I just roll over and I just go ahead and swap it over.
Yep. So yeah, there's 9 functional computers over here. And I've just been trying to get them all connected, along with a handful of my consoles. So I could offer people this unique gaming experience. Other people with less knowledge and resources than me have been able to do this with some alacrity. I have been taking the longest, most circuitous route imaginable to get to this destination. So that's the story of my life right there. That's what I've been doing for the last ever since the unboxing. Actually, for quite some time. I'm rotating capture devices around because the gaming box that I have been promising people for it's almost a year now. Nathan's brought me this box in July of last year. Most of the components from that machine are now in my streaming box that we're using right now. Ryzen 3, 16 gigs of RAM. I ended up replacing all the guts of that machine. It now has a Ryzen 5 with 16 gigs of Patriot Viper RAM. The hell speed is this? PC4 25600, 3200 megahertz. It's faster RAM. And I've got everything installed on it, and the game's played just fine. But I've been having trouble outputting it to a capture device. It either locks up or it doesn't want to cooperate. So that's what I've been trying to figure out there. Plus, I want to get a new ergonomic gaming chair because I've got this one earmarked on eBay that not only reclines, but also has a built-in footstool.
There you go.
Because the monitor for my gaming machine is about 2.5 feet above my head, maybe 3 feet above my head here, on an arm at the top of my monitor tower, which is sitting on a crate to make it more eye level. But it's all the way up there. And so it's going to be great. I'm going to have this chair. I'm going to be laying back. I'm probably going to play the game with a controller. And I'm just going to be looking up. And I have a neck pillow that I used to use for road trips. And it's just going to be great. I'm going to be laying back, and Verizon is just going to be like, what the hell are you doing? And I'm like, playing video games. I took apart my busted-ass GameStop Mad Catz Xbox 360 controller. Literally blew on the connectors and then reassembled it, and now that whole jigginess with the right control stick is fixed. So I was trying to play Overwatch with it. I found out something. I'm not real good with the controller in Overwatch.
You certainly... The skills are less transferable than you'd think between playing a lot of games with a controller and using keyboard and mouse.
Yeah. I do well with Honkai Impact the Third, but that's about the only game so far. That and, I don't know, something maybe like Record of Lotus War, Deedlit in Wonder Dungeon, or whatever the hell the game is called. They made the subtitle way too fucking long for that game.
The recent Metroidvania one?
Yeah. The one that came out, I think, in 2019 or 2020 or whatever it was. I bought it a while back, and I think I've played about 30-40% of the game. And I wanted to play it on stream, but too many other people were playing it at that time. So I was like, well, I'll wait until the fervor has died down a little bit and then do my playthrough of it. But that's on the list. like everything that's on the list. But that doesn't require as much power, so the old gaming machine will probably suffice. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that's going on here. So let's see, what have we got to talk about besides my command center, which is extensive. What's going on in the world today? Oh, they did drop the preview trailer for Star Trek Picard Season 3, which apparently will be the big-ass send-off for the TNG crew that they never got with Nemesis.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it looks like it's going to be. It's the TNG family reunion, a.k.a. family farewell.
Yeah, it's their final requiem. They kept saying that they had a plan to make Picard only 3 seasons. Patrick Stewart kind of sort of left the door, and Akiva Goldsmith left the door kind of open to the idea that if there was some way to do it, that they could do a season 4 or 5, but only if Sir Patrick actually wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But they're making it sound so final, and it's like, I mean, it could be. I never liked the idea of hiring an entire new cast for something and then casting them to the side after a finite period of time. Never really giving them a chance to shine. They brought in all these other wonderful characters into the mix. I mean, I like Raffi and Rios, and of course, who doesn't like Seven of Nine? What?
Yeah, part of the issue is they have been using the legacy of TNG for the entirety of Picard. So, that is the problem I had with season 1, and why I wasn't really interested in why I got disinterested in the thing, because it just kept going to the TNG well. It's like, remember this?
Yeah.
It's like, say what you will about Discovery, but it's not tying itself that hard to its own legacy.
Well, I mean, the whole idea was that this series is Picard's Requiem.
Right.
So it being tied to the next generation and tying up all the loose ends of its final legacy, I guess makes sense. So in that particular regard, I'm not offended by that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it creates the paradox of, of course you're interesting new elements, and nobody's here for those new elements. Like nobody's here for Picard's new sidekicks.
I am 150% here for all of them, but that's
you know
just
what
me.
I mean.
No, I know that, but well, and apparently the entire Star Trek group that I'm a part of is very much all about this.
Right.
But yeah, Terry Metalis, I think I said his name correctly, who is the co-showrunner with Akiva Goldsmith this season, and is the solo showrunner for season 3, said that apparently this is going to be a TNG era fan's wet dream as far as the 3rd season, because even though they said it wasn't going to be TNG Light or TNG 2, they lied.
Yeah, I mean, they're bringing back the whole cast, even the people that haven't shown up at all.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I get so I read I finally found somewhere where they actually talked about what the premise of TNG 5 would have been. And it was going to reference All Good Things and do a leaping through time scenario with the entire TNG cast, possibly with Wesley as the Traveler, or God knows
This
what.
is for a 5th movie?
Yeah, that was the original plan. Because actually, Brent Spiner and John Logan had planned on the TNG cast's final journey to be a duology, where it started with Nemesis and then finished with this second film. And because Nemesis did so badly, largely because of a certain director who doesn't know a fucking thing about Star Trek.
Oh boy,
Mr. Baird. He's a great editor. He's a terrible director, and everybody hated him. He's also kind of a creep. Have you ever watched his DVD commentary on the Nemesis DVD?
I'll take your word for it.
No. He did this whole thing where he spent 25 minutes talking about, and we came at Deanna with the whole mind rape scene with the snorkel cam, and it was really great. And I was just like, fuck you, dude. I was like, oh, fuck you, dude. And they cut the scene. He spends like 20 minutes on the DVD talking about this scene that they cut. Because it was extra creepy. And they spent the whole movie, glorifying Deanna Troy's basically psychic assault.
Mm-hmm.
Was it supposed to be a metaphor for the heinousness of, sexual assault or something? I don't know. It seemed like they were spending an awfully lot of time, an awfully big amount of time making it seem like, oh, isn't that so cool? The battle of the psychics.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, everything about this is terrible, and every time you go to this portion of the Deanna Troi well, I feel like I'm falling into the abyss.
I mean, it can be cool when it's a battle, but it depends on how you do that.
And they pared it down to that, but everything, to paraphrase Red Letter Media, everything about Nemesis was a funeral dirge. It made me feel sad, and it made me feel tired. And the Next Generation cast looked tired throughout the entire film. Like, oh God, I can't believe we're doing this, but I'm contractually obligated. And the fact of the matter is, it's over 2 hours in length, and everybody phoned it in.
Mm.
We know Tom Hardy can do better. We know Ron Perlman can do better. We know the entire goddamn TNG cast can do better, even though they were literally hired to do this job back in the days when cheese reigned king. And I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just a horrible, horrible film that tries so hard to be Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. And it's not. Because literally the only way they could have made it Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan was if it had centered on Q being the ultimate nemesis.
Mm.
And that story is just too long for them to do in a single film.
Mm.
And that's why we're getting it in season 2 of Picard. Although John Delancey has been hired to be in season 3 of Picard, so I'm going to assume that the story doesn't quite end with the time travel story here in season 2.
I feel like you don't defeat Q by destroying him.
No, you defeat him by somehow making him see the light. By somehow convincing him that his position was maybe not as good as he thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's not always the easiest thing to do, especially when you're dealing with a mercurial demigod who can do literally anything. Actually, to be honest with you, the most terrifying thing about this season of Picard is that the rules that we've come to accept about dealings between the TNG cast and Q don't apply here, because he's experiencing some kind of space god dementia. Yeah. So there might be no reasoning with him.
Mm.
So,
And the other Qs are not doing anything about it?
there's a reference in season 4 to the Q in Discovery, Discovery season 4. They referenced it and said that they haven't heard from the Q since the 26th century, so there's clearly something going on.
Maybe Section 31 engineered a virus.
that hurts all powerful gods.
I mean, they did that before.
Right? But the founders weren't technically gods.
I mean, they certainly perceive themselves as gods, and, shape-shifting into virtually anything is pretty godlike when you think about it.
Yeah, but you see, if the Q had wanted to, they could have just snapped all of the founders out of existence.
True, but I suppose that's the problem with being impish.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Star Trek,
yes,
fucking Paramount just decided to do Star Trek NFTs.
Oh boy.
there's also
You know what they don't? You know what they don't have in the utopian future of Star Trek? Fucking NFTs.
I mean, if Quark had his way.
Yeah. Imagine selling air for gold pressed latinum.
I mean, there's even a meme that's been going around Twitter about his apes being stolen.
At this point, it's like, just drive this whole thing right into the ground and let everybody do one before, like, this thing completely wraps up.
Well, I mean,
Because there is going to be an end to this.
well, yeah, like every time they announce an NFT something, it gets a huge fucking backlash and it has to die on the vine. Either that or, it gets scammed out of
I
existence.
can't imagine. Yeah, well, see, there's already. I commented on this last week. There's already a YouTube channel dedicated to stolen Star Trek NFTs.
Oh,
You know
fine.
what with the all the transparency of the blockchain being completely opaque. I mean, it's completely transparent if you have name, address, phone number, exact location, GPS positioning, the full code.
Don't forget your mother's maiden name.
Yeah, mother's maiden name and probably the name of your last 6 cats. And then maybe you'll find a portion of it. But yeah, perfectly transparent. I don't know. NFTs, NFTs just seem like for voice actors, for example, Troy Baker, of course, got pilloried for this because he didn't seem to understand that as soon as they made an NFT out of his AI vocal library, nobody would ever have to hire Troy Baker again,
Yeah.
and he would make like 1/60th of the money he would make if they just hired him directly to do it.
Yeah.
If he makes money off his voice at all.
But meanwhile, the power consumption of the data centers necessary to maintain his AI voice NFT
Who cares about that? It's all about the money.
would probably dry up the Indian Ocean.
Who cares about that? That's the Indian Ocean. We're far away from that. No matter me.
Right? Yeah. So, I mean, it's just... And then people are like, oh, the power consumption, it's not that big a deal. And it's like, not that big a deal until you're in a neighborhood near one of those data centers where you're subject to rolling brownouts and blackouts because, they need more juice from that 100-year-old coal-burning power plant. It's like people are so wrapped up in minutia, they're not really looking at the big picture.
Yeah. And of course, you're not making people look at the big picture. They're making people buy money for nothing.
People don't understand that they don't create new cryptocurrencies because it's a hip idea. They do it because the pyramid scheme of the original Bitcoin, for example, is that everybody who was an early adopter made a fucking fortune and continues to make money off of it. Everybody who bought later, well, it's like
the only way to make a fortune off it is to be an early adopter. So people who see that and they say, "Well, I can be an early adopter if I make my own."
Yeah, and that is literally the definition of a pyramid scheme, a Ponzi
Yeah, I was about to say,
scheme, a multi-level marketing scheme.
It almost looks like a pyramid-shaped scheme going on.
But yeah, it's like they keep making it, and it's like, yeah, the early adopters made a fortune. It's like the old Jerry Reed song, it's like they got the gold mine and I got the shaft.
Pretty much.
Thankfully, it does seem to be not accelerating in terms of pickup by big things. It's still going, but
remember for 5 minutes when they had that show with Carl Urban called Almost Human, and they proposed the notion that all global currency was Bitcoin. What a knee slapper!
Yeah, of course. It's not just Bitcoin. It's whatever you want coin.
Right. No, they actually used Bitcoin in the show because it was still relatively new and exciting in 2011.
Yeah. Well. Then everybody got involved, and now it's a scam.
They want 400 billion bitcoins, and it's like, slow down, son. That's barely a tank of gas.
Meanwhile,
wasn't there supposed to be like a maximum number of bitcoins in existence?
It's virtual currency.
It was designed to be like limited.
Oh, and the whole process of Bitcoin mining is literally a 1980s plot called salami slicing. Like literally all of the shady quasi legal things that you could possibly do are applied to this stuff. Meanwhile, you got arms dealers and drug dealers and child traffickers and sex workers all using this stuff for nefarious purposes outside of the so-called legal means because of its anonymity. But the federal government says, oh yeah, we're going to crack that blockchain and get people's back taxes. And it's like, good luck, bro.
Yeah, I was about to say, good luck, have fun. Let me laugh at you when you fail.
It's like, and when they
Except that then when someone's apes get stolen, they start asking for regulators to come in and fucking fix it.
yeah, and when they come and dox your household and put you in the
When they
poorhouse.
SWAT your household.
Yeah.
SWAT your household, too.
Yeah, when they SWAT you, yeah. We'll wonder what a great idea that was. This is why look. I know I'm saying a lot of negative stuff about it, but here's the deal. I just don't want to get involved in crypto at all.
No.
I'm not afraid of the technology. I understand it quite a bit better than most people think. I just don't think it's a good idea.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
A small part of me wishes I had got in on it early and gotten rich.
Like on the ground floor kind of thing, but yeah.
Yeah, got rich.
But also, I'm not going to now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, everyone who wishes they would have bought Apple stock in the 90s.
Right.
Back when it was, cheap, nobody knew Apple was going to be around at this time.
Well, yeah, 85, 86 would have been the time to buy it. You know?
Yeah.
Hell, 1983 would have been a good time to buy it. Because when the Macintosh came out in 1985, or was it, I think it was 84. It came out in 1984. When the Macintosh came out in 1984, it was the it thing. Like anybody who was anybody who had yuppie money or better had a Macintosh or a Macintosh Plus in their household.
Oh man, remember back when company stock got really huge because they were actually providing a popular product that was good at some things?
What you talking about?
Are you high?
Yeah.
When was that?
You mean as opposed to giving people slap lawsuits and trying to
Speculation.
and try to steal all of their technology from them because they don't want to invent anything themselves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How dare you disparage us? Here's some paperwork.
Bitch, you want disparage?
Yeah, there you go. You want disparage or datparage?
Boo.
I know.
Boo this man.
Boo that man! Speaking of other people who we really don't want to reference on this show. Man. You know you done wrong when you get canceled for slapping the guy who was just imitating Dave Chappelle.
Actually, no. If
I
you're
mean,
talking about, are you talking about a certain thing that happened 2 weeks ago? Oh, no, that wasn't a Chappelle bit. That's, to be frank, it looks like Chris Rock has been obsessed with Jada and Will for like almost 30 years. Like dating all the way back to the late 90s.
Boy, that's scary in and of itself.
Yeah. Well, there comes a point where, a recurring bit runs out, when the patience with a recurring bit runs out.
And no, the audience should not go up and physically interact with the performer on stage at a show, but also...
No, but it's like...
He kind of had it coming.
Yeah, it's like, look, eventually...
The performer also should not make the audience want to get up and smack them.
No.
The thing that we didn't talk about last week, and this is the thing that's going around is, given how long this has been going on, and everybody's like, well, he should have just gone up and talked to him, and it's like, how do you know he hasn't? Many times. He's had 30 years to have it out verbally with Chris.
I mean, and here's the problem with that, because I've saw that too. You should have just gone up and talked to him about it. It's like, look, even if you did talk to him about it, you think that's not going to make it any better? Because there's going to be those people out there that say, you know, oh, you just can't take a joke. It's a joke. Just take a joke. You know.
Yeah.
It's like when you're literally punching down against my wife here. It's like it gets to a point where you got to draw the line.
Yeah. Whether you knew about the alopecia or not is irrelevant.
Yeah. It's like
this is an ongoing thing.
He knew. He had to have known because he did that documentary a couple of years ago involving Good Hair, that documentary he did. He had to have at least somewhat of knowledge.
Yeah. All right, next
Especially
topic.
if he was. Yeah, go ahead.
Next topic up for bids. Anybody?
I have no idea.
All right.
I do.
Go ahead.
Warner Brothers Discovery is almost a thing.
Oh.
Yeah, that starts on. It looks like it's starting up on Friday, and the exodus has begun. It's Jason Kilar, the CEO, out. Well, he was already going to go out. And he had pretty much been given the feelers from the moment that this thing was announced that he was going to be going the first moment he got. He's out. The head of Warner Brothers and Sarnoff is out. The head of HBO Max is out. And a bunch of other executives that are close with them. Because, see, the new guy, he wants to cut the fat out in terms of management. Instead of, having, 6, 7, 8 people, he wants, 2, 3, or 4. That sort of thing.
Now, I would normally say that it can be potentially a good thing to remove extraneous layers of management. But on the other hand, I get the distinct feeling he's not doing this so that a higher amount of the pay could be given to, lower-end workers.
Probably not.
Oh, that's crazy talk.
Although more frankly, it's probably so that he can have just 2 or 3 people take care of things and make it more streamlined and easy. But we're gonna have to wait and see because he's not in a hurry to replace him. Apparently, which is really fun considering that you're pretty much losing the number 1, number 2, and number 3 of the company you're about to take over. I mean, the head of your big freaking streaming service is out the door.
Right.
The head of your movie studio that you're very excited to take over is out the door. So, I mean, he already has someone involved for CNN. There's one thing, but they haven't said anything about who they want for everywhere else. So, yeah, Discovery Warner. Welcome to the new age where the Discovery Channel is now the owner of a major movie studio. I'm telling somebody that 20 years ago.
Right.
Remember when they did a lot of educational stuff?
Remember when TLC was the learning channel and not the trash television channel?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching Scrapyard Wars in the morning before I went to school.
Oh. It's not what the Discovery Channel was the decade prior, but, I mean...
For the Discovery Store.
I kind of remember that, yeah. Discovery Channel store, mm-hmm.
Anyway, speaking of the changing times, the continued dissolution of Funimation continues.
I was going to go a slightly different route, but go ahead. We'll cover this.
Well, it's probably important.
Oh yeah, no question about that.
Because it was announced yesterday, I think, or maybe that Funimation
The
the
Funimation,
Funimation YouTube channel is being renamed to Crunchyroll Dubs.
Yeah. Yeah. The Funimation, in case you didn't realize it, in case you didn't know it by now, Funimation is dead.
Yes.
Still feels weird to me, but yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it is dead.
Yeah, and people keep wondering why this is happening, and apparently it has to do with the international positioning of the branding. That is to say, Crunchyroll has worldwide presence where Funimation does not.
Mhm.
Like, people know
Although Funimation did try.
they tried, they didn't succeed, and
Right.
we're seeing the end result of that.
Yep.
And you know, it's still, I won't say stings, because truth be told, not much is actually changing in terms of under the hood stuff. Like,
Yet.
well, that's actually a problem.
Mhm.
Because Crunchyroll is imposing their value system onto Funimation stuff and vice versa. And I'm talking the bad parts of that.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. That's why I say it has nothing changing under the hood yet.
well, yeah, because Crunchyroll has been renowned for being, even among anime dubbing voice acting, to being fucking cheapskates.
Yep.
There's been this whole imbroglio about the Jujutsu Kaisen movie. Like, apparently the voice actors made like about $800 on that.
Yep. $800 versus a movie making about $50 million.
And this is being fused with the fact that Funimation does most of its dubbing work in Texas.
Oh boy.
Yeah, they do have some LA dubbing production, but
Mm-hmm.
they've always been very Texas based, and that's not just because they're based in Texas.
Most of the big houses are based out of Austin. Funimation was.
Viz is not. Viz is based out of LA, and they use LA.
Yeah, Viz is the company. Viz is based out of San Francisco, but their dubbing work has been in LA.
Yeah, they use like Studiopolis or Bang Zoom.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it's made like Sentai Filmworks and Funimation use Texas circuit, not just because they're based out of that state, but because it's a right to work state. Non-union jobs.
Yep.
That's why there's a protest movement going on in the anime voice actor industry right now.
It's like we're talking about the fact that anime movies are indeed make decent amount of money at the box office now. It's not a simple case of them only making like a couple million. It's like,
well,
like they're making like tens of millions.
Okay, a lot of this comes down to shit that went down in like the 90s.
Of course.
I'm like, because voice acting and especially anime dubbing was seen as the ass end of the industry. No other way to say it. And that's why the union negotiated such shit rates that haven't been updated. Like,
I mean, if they even really bothered, because animation as this is one of those things. Back when I was first investigating SAG membership or becoming a SAG signatory for our films and our limited run series, they were kind of apathetic towards me. They're like, well, I mean, it's this and that. It's like they don't even. It's like until recently. Now all of a sudden, because of all the uproar, now they're all like, oh, we're going to unionize all the anime and video game workers, and it's like, good fucking luck.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
like I'm not, and I'm not.
yeah.
Hold on. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm saying good luck. That's it. There's no further commentary beyond that.
No, that's not the problem. The problem isn't unionization. The problem is getting a good union. Because they're already fucking unionized out in LA and they cut this shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something. The base union salary for being an animated voice actor is $257 an hour with a 2-hour minimum, and a nebulous deal about royalties.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, they didn't really put anything into it. That's why several of the voice actors that I work with, who are union members, are like, yeah, but... And they still take indie work on the sly. And they're not even covert about it because the union doesn't back them or penalize them when shit goes sideways.
Yep.
You know, I'm FICOR, it's okay. There's no such actual thing.
Yeah.
That's just like some made-up thing that everybody believes in. It's like if you say a lie loud enough and often enough, apparently it becomes true.
Right.
But it's right there on the SAG's website where they say that FICOR is not actually a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not a lie if you believe it.
Right. I feel bad for some of the people who got the shaft for 20, 25 years. There's a couple of specific voice actors I'm thinking of who joined the union and now no longer get work.
Mm.
It's like, well, I got the health benefits and I'm guaranteed royalties. And it's like, guaranteed royalties on no work means that you'll never get a dime of royalties. You can't negotiate back royalties on stuff you did non-union years ago. You know, you can't say, well, now I'm part of the union, so give me my royalties, and Cartoon Network will just be like, that's their response.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, sorry, you did that under contract 25 years ago. It's rough, and it's like I'm in a weird place because I'm an indie content provider. And as much as I would love the prestige of being a SAG signatory, I can't afford it. I mean, some would argue then, you know, because I can't afford it, that maybe my films shouldn't be made. But I'm like, look, I'm all for it when I'm able. I want
more like
to
there
do
should
it.
be more funding available for artists that don't have huge amounts of previous work.
It's like that is actually it's on my to-do list. It's things that it's something I want to do. It's something that I want to be able to provide. And I don't want those who remain on the outside to be excluded either. But there's rules there too. That's, you know, being a union signatory actually limits my pool of availability of people that I can actually grab to put in these productions, because 80 to 90% of the actors out there are non-union, simply because they have to be working actors in order to survive. And by simply having like the whole, well, they need a union, any union, even if it's not the SAG. And it's like, well, there's a problem with that. You can't just take any old union, and that doesn't guarantee that they'll get paid. The joke about the SAG is that 5% of the workers get 95% of the work. Go ahead.
Yeah. There is this perception, especially among certain groups, let's say, that unionization is the end-all be-all for the advancement of worker rights. And, you know, in general, yes, but it's also, the union has to have teeth.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, on paper, it's supposed to be the be-all, end-all. But unfortunately, lately, within the last 20, 30, 40 years, you've seen you really haven't seen unions with that teeth. They basically bought in to what management threatens them with.
And people talk about, well, there's laws that, they on both sides of the equation, they say, well, there's laws that protect workers. Okay, but yeah, you have to have enforcement. But on the other side, they're like, well, but the unions are hamstringed by all these new laws. And it's like, yeah, but, you have to keep in mind, before unions were actually a thing, unions were illegal. And they fought anyway.
Uh-huh.
Because that's what you do against injustice, is you fight against injustice.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's illegal, just because it's legal doesn't mean it's moral, ethical, or correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, so, and this is not the only sector that's undergoing this kind of realignment, let's say, because actual animators have been calling out for more royalties benefits, the new deal for animation.
Yeah.
The Animation Guild is still in negotiations with the AMPTP over a new contract, and it's been almost a month and they haven't.
And this is what we were talking about last week. Hollywood doesn't respect animation at all.
Right.
Yep.
And it's not just a manifestation in the lack of respect at award shows. It's the industry writ large.
Right.
And it's not just the studios here. It's it's the unions as well that don't treat these segments well.
Yeah. I mean, if I got into this thinking, oh, I'm going to make $1 million right off the bat, and I'm going to be super famous right away, and I'm going to get all the awards, I would have been in for a serious disappointment.
Yeah.
It's maybe I'll get some plastic icons that I can put on my shelf that next to my AYSO participation trophies. But I'm not expecting big things right off the way. I'm not expecting us to be a hell of a boss or has been hotel. That is as they say. That is the unicorn in the wild.
Yeah, probably impossible.
Yeah.
Not impossible, just really, really improbable.
Yeah, I'm more keen on the idea of just making a living off of it, so I don't have to, do rideshare anymore.
Right.
Yes.
Or make bad sandwiches at Panera Bread.
Or sell your flesh.
Well, I have to make sure my kidneys are working before I sacrifice one of them.
Yeah.
We'll do some medical tourism, except not quite the way everybody expects. All right. The thing I was going to say, I think we got some good points on that one. The thing I was going to say was about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I have to say something that may come off as controversial, but let's just go with it.
Right.
Phase 4, a lot of people have been calling it uneven. I'm calling it experimental.
Yeah, I think that's
fair. That's fair.
Because I've just watched episode 2 of Moon Knight. And no spoilers. I'm just going to say my general impression of it. It was somewhat difficult to watch, and yet it was amazing at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, see also WandaVision.
Right. This it seems like the theme of Phase 4 is the descent into madness, both literally and figuratively.
Right.
I mean, the multiverse of madness.
Yeah.
I mean, you can call it experimental. It can also be transitionary, because we're basically
go with experiment. I'd actually go with experimental because we are seeing bold new things that sometimes work and sometimes don't. Looking at you, Eternals.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've watched it twice now, and I gotta say, I think it works a little better than people give it credit for being. It's a slightly uneven. It's a slightly uneven film, but what's confusing about all of this is I think the Eternals are going to be a centerpiece of they're going to be the replacement for the Avengers in this phase. But hold up, that's what they're trying to set them up as, because the Defenders didn't cut it. So, and there aren't going to be Avengers except for maybe the Secret Wars and the Dark Avengers thing that they were talking about towards the end of Phase 4. But they have to have some kind of unifying thing, and as of yet, I haven't seen anything that is front and center unifying. I mean, you've got Loki, which ties back to the previous phases, and you've got WandaVision, which kind of wraps that up. But other than that, you don't have a unifying force.
I think the unifying force is expected to be the multiverse.
I suppose, but that's a little vague.
Well, anyway, I was going to say something that's tied to the Eternals discussion specifically. What I told Mac after I watched it was, I feel like they tried to cram too much into a single sitting, and it would have fared a lot better if they broke it up into 6 or 9 episodes that way, because there's so much history, because these are brand new characters they're introducing to all the viewers.
And they do seem to be doing better on their quote-unquote television, because everything's almost exclusively streaming now. But they seem to be doing better with their television ventures than they are on the big screen. And it's not just the pandemic. It's a formatting issue.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's because they're not conforming to television standards. Like, none of these Marvel series are, traditional television programs. They're not 13 episodes. They're not, which is a thing that hit the Netflix stuff hard.
Yeah.
And they're not seasons. Like, there are going to be some series that get second seasons, and there's going to be some that are just limited events. It's taking advantage of the format, and being better at it than a lot of programming in this space.
Well, and there is a logical reason for this, and that's because now that they've gotten past the Avengers, and we've had Spider-Man, and we've had a pretty good arc with Spider-Man. Now they're into some slightly murkier waters as far as the notoriety of the heroes that they're choosing to portray. They're going way outside the mainstream, so they really have to do a lot more setup in order to effectively portray these characters and their meaning to the greater universe.
Right. There's a specific thing in regards to the Eternals to why that's so difficult. That is because Jack Kirby and the fucking 70s. Like, we do not have time to get into this. Oh, no.
Maybe another episode.
Basic bottom line is the Eternals were Kirby's Marvel's New Gods XPs. But, no joke, this shit is actually really fucking convoluted and complicated, because a lot of drugs were involved, okay?
Okay.
And the main thing about the New Gods is that they're fucking weird.
Yes, because Jack Kirby got really fucking weird around this time.
Oh, I mean, they got really fucking high too, but that's beside the point.
That is what I was saying.
Yeah, he said there was a lot of drugs while you had your headset off.
oh yeah. I had to go to the restroom, so.
Yeah. Right.
Oh.
So bottom line is Moon Knight is definitely an interesting addition, but the first couple of episodes, especially with the internal struggling without with them portraying DID without saying it's DID, is very uncomfortable to watch. But at the same time, their handling of it is done, I think, very admirably, in that the audience gets to experience the confusion, the paranoia, the panic of not really knowing what's going on at any given moment. And that's my mini review of it. So it's a pretty amazing show so far. And of course, you've got excellent casting with Oscar Isaac and the voice of F. Murray Abraham and Ethan Hawke. I don't know a whole hell of a lot about Moon Knight, but I did actually look him up on the Wikipedia, and I feel like as far as retooling him for the MCU, this is a pretty damn good job. And I can't wait to see episode 3.
Main thing I know about Moon Knight is that he's one of the most clippable panel that becomes a memeable superheroes. Even if the Dracula giant goddamn nerd is edited.
One of my favorite panels is where they're talking about that, he comes at you and he throws random bullshit, and there's a panel of him and he like reaches into his coat and flows there and he goes, random bullshit, go.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the default costume, he pulls moon-shaped, basically batarangs off of his chest on an unlimited basis and keeps throwing them at his enemies. So I mean, but it's interesting seeing how the various personalities will integrate, and of course we have at least one more major one that has yet to be revealed. So it's gonna be pretty fascinating. I liked Hawkeye as a wrap up. I liked WandaVision as a segue and a bridge to her becoming a central piece of the new MCU. Especially with more accurately, I think it's probably the new MCU. It looks like it's going to be centered on Doctor Strange, Wanda Maximoff as Scarlet Witch, and I would imagine that since they keep showing him that Mark Ruffalo is going to be playing the Hulk until the end of time, because apparently Mark Ruffalo has nothing better to do with his time.
Well, he loves the role.
Oh yeah,
so.
Yeah. No more cheesy $5 million rom-coms for him. He'll just play the Hulk until he's dead.
Not the worst thing in the universe.
Not at all. No complaints. But it looks like they're gonna build a new team centering on that, and possibly, if they ever get around to it, the Fantastic Four.
They are still talking pretty heavily about that, so maybe, fingers crossed, maybe we'll get something to do with that.
Right.
I think we're getting X-Men first.
I don't know, because I honestly don't know what's happening. I honestly do not know which way this is going to go.
Well, the thing of it is relating to the multiverse.
Yeah.
And they're not the only ones.
The question is, which X-Men are we going to get?
Right.
Are we going to get the multiversal Fox X-Men, or are we going to get something else?
I mean,
well, no, we are getting Deadpool.
Yeah. And that means and he will be the Deadpool we've been seeing all along, just transferred to the MCU. Mm-hmm. So it means that all timelines did happen. Everything that we've seen before happened at some point, especially thanks to Spider-Man No Way Home. It's like everything that we've seen is real in a different quantum reality. And and I think that it will be very interesting to see what happens in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Now all we need is Dolph Lundgren, Frank Castle to show up.
Or animated Spider-Man all pointing at each other.
I mean,
they did that.
Anyway,
they did that in the Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Into the Spider-Verse is fucking amazing, and I love that. And I sit there and I'm like, I was talking to my girlfriend about this, and I said, look, the thing that pisses me off about the Academy Awards and the fact that they treat cartoons like the kid stuff is simultaneously how many Oscars did Into the Spider-Verse win? I think it was 3. So it's like, open up your eyes, guys. And that really wasn't just a kids movie. I mean, it starts off with the death of Peter Parker.
Well, the face of the awards shows are changing. I mean, Star Trek Discovery won only the third Emmy in the almost 60-year history of Star Trek. It's been nominated over and over again for technical awards, Star Trek in general, various incarnations of it, but this is only the third statue they've taken home. Or maybe fourth. Did everybody get cut off?
No, you were talking.
Well, I
Yeah.
trailed off, so that was an opportunity for somebody to jump in and say something like, yeah, or...
His mouth ran out of gas.
Now, I mean, we should probably be wrapping up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anything notable on Toonami before we go?
Nah, nothing real.
We don't know yet. Made in Abyss is about to end its run, and we don't know the replacements. Next
Okay.
week, we got the spring season anime to cover.
I see. Well, something to look forward to then.
Mhm.
Now, I'm looking at the schedule here, and according to this, episode 8 will be Charles Wolf of Charles Wolf Music, freelance composer
Yes.
for video games, comics, podcasts, and I put et al. As in, and many
Et
more
al.
things. Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
an etc., not an et al. But yeah, whatever.
Yeah, he was actually a guest on my program recently, and we talked quite a bit about the video game portion of his composing work, but he does a lot more than that, so here he will be next week.
This will be great to talk to somebody who is a working performer because, the hustle is real for everybody. And this will kind of interestingly dovetail, I think, into a lot of the discussions that we've had about unionization and getting people the pay and royalties that they are earned so that they don't have to basically kill themselves. Unless, they're a workaholic that just loves their craft, and that's also a thing. But it's good. This will be. I think this will be a very interesting conversation.
Yeah.
And then the week after that, on April 20th, Earth Day, we will actually be having a special set of guests at a very early time. So I'm planting the seed for this now. We're going to be at 4:30 Pacific to make sure that they get the maximum amount of time, because like all working people who do things,
Time constraints.
yeah. People in my age group and older go to bed early, so
Yeah, exactly.
especially if they're not making money off of their art. And John Broughton and Michael Bednar of Farragut Films and Farragut Forward are Star Trek fan film creators.
Mm-hmm.
They do not make money off of their art, so we're going to be talking about that because they have an extensive 15-year history with fandom, and I'm very excited to have them on the show. But that will be at a special time, 4:30 Pacific, instead of the usual 8 o'clock. So just wanted to get that out there and plant the seed early, and we will be talking about this next week as well to remind everybody, so that way we don't have any difficulties with scheduling. But I'm super excited to talk to them because Farragut Forward is finally moving forward, and that's their Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan era continuation of the Starship Farragut franchise. And from the clips that they've done, it looks pretty amazing. And of course, it also guest stars our old friend Paul Sieber, who is the Chotan jailer in our trilogy of films with El Delinaria. So, he used to play Commander Prescott, the chief of security, on the series. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. And plus, we're probably gonna have Paul on the show before too long. He's on the list of people that we want to have sometime this season. So it all ties together. All right. So that's it for this week's installment of Moonhawk Studios Presents, and hopefully next week my iPad will actually be working properly. Actually, it's functional right now. So I will bring that up, and let me open my Stream Deck. Come on, Elgato. Work your magic. It's thinking.
It's one thing.
It's thinking. It's thinking. It's gonna. Doodles, do not put your butt in my face.
Oh boy.
Come on. Well, anyway, that's it for this installment of Moonhawk Studios Presents. Join us again next week for more Partial Excitement. Of course, tomorrow I will be here with the first installment of Final Fantasy IV, The After Years, which apparently, according to everything I'm reading, is another 40 to 60 hour quest. It's actually longer than the original Final Fantasy.
It's episodic.
It's longer than the original Final Fantasy IV, I mean, in its entirety. So it's going to be pretty interesting. And I've never seen how they wove it together on the PSP version, so this will be quite fascinating to see. Hopefully we can do an episode per episode, but I'm not holding my breath on that. But if we can get through at least half an episode, we should be good. But yeah, that's something to look forward to. And then Saturday, of course, Varias and I will be back with more Overwatch. I will be back on Facebook. She will be here on Twitch. So that's it for this week. Until next time, I'm your host, and on behalf of the crew at Moonhawk Studios Presents, thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, kids.